Picture a duel. You already have the image. Two men, backs together, 10 paces, turn, fire. Someone dies. That's the story we've been told 100 times. Here's the part that should bother you. It's mostly wrong. In one study of pistol duels, around 93% of men who fought walked away. Most weren't even hurt. These were not, by and large, fights to the death. There was something stranger and honestly more interesting. They were a performance, a ritual, an extremely dangerous way of answering one question. What will people think of me if I let this stand? And I want to be upfront with you. That is not a historical question. That is the question you asked yourself the last time someone disrespected you in front of other people. You didn't reach for a pistol, but something in you reached for something. So let's talk about the men who reached for the pistol. Because once you understand why a sane person would risk dying over a few words, you understand something uncomfortable about yourself. Start with a feeling you already know. Someone insults you, publicly, in front of other people whose opinions you care about. And there's this heat that rises, not really about the insult itself, but about the audience, about what they'll think of you if you just take it. That feeling is ancient. It's one of the oldest pieces of social wiring we have. And for most of human history, it was not irrational. Because in a world without reliable police, without courts that worked, without a state that would protect you, your reputation was your protection. If people believed you'd let an insult slide, they believed you'd let worse slide. Your reputation for not backing down was a security system for your entire life. Your property, your family, your word. We call that an honor culture. And the rule of an honor culture is brutally simple. You are exactly as safe as the people believe you are dangerous. Now, you live in a dignity culture, mostly. You were raised on sticks and stones, on don't let them get a reaction out of you, on the idea that your worth doesn't depend on what some stranger says. That's the water you swim in. But here's the thing the historians point out, and it's going to matter later. The old honor instinct didn't get deleted when the courts showed up. It just went quiet. It's still in there. And under the right conditions, the right audience, the right disrespect, it comes right back up your throat. The men we're about to meet just lived in a time when it never had to stay quiet at all. Here's the first thing that breaks the Hollywood picture. Dueling wasn't chaos. It was one of the most rule-bound activities a gentleman could participate in. There were written codes, the most famous, the Irish Code Duello, 20-some rules governing exactly how to try and kill each other politely. And I do mean a code. It read less like a death pact and more like the terms and conditions you don't read before clicking agree. And the strange, almost tender thing about these rules, most of them existed to help the two men avoid shooting each other. Rule 1 in the Irish Code says the person who gave the first offense has to apologize first, even if the other guy's comeback was nastier. There were rules for accepting an apology, rules for how an insult could be walked back, an entire bureaucracy of off-ramps. Because between the insult and the gunfire stood two other men, the seconds. Each duelist appointed one, a friend of equal standing, and the second's first job, before anything else, was to try and make peace, negotiate an apology, find a form of words that let everyone keep their honor and their internal organs. Think about how familiar that machinery is. The friend who says, "Don't send that text," the group chat that talks you down, the cooling off period before you fire back that email. We have seconds too. We just call them the friend who screenshots your draft and says, "Absolutely not." And when the seconds fail, when nobody would back down, then and only then did it come to the field. So the real question becomes, what was so unbearable that two men would rather risk death than take the off-ramp everyone was begging them to take? Hold that, because the answer isn't bravery. It's something much, much more relatable than bravery. You know one duel, even if you know nothing about duels. 1804, a ledge in Weehawken, New Jersey. looking back across the water at Manhattan. The sitting Vice President of the United States, Aaron Burr, shoots the former Treasury Secretary, Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton dies the next day. It's the most famous duel in history, and it's wrapped in so much myth, I have to do some unwrapping. So let me correct a few things, because being the channel that tells you the real version is more interesting than repeating the musical. 1. Hamilton appears to have planned to delope, to deliberately throw away his shot, fire wide, and satisfy honor without trying to kill Burr. He wrote about the intention beforehand. His shot did go high into a tree. Whether he did it on purpose or whether he had already been hit when his gun went off, the eyewitness accounts genuinely conflict, and anyone who tells you they know for certain is selling you something. 2. You may have heard the pistols had a secret hair trigger that gave someone an edge. They did have set triggers. They were also completely standard on expensive dueling pistols of the era, not a secret weapon, just nice guns. 3. The same era gives us Andrew Jackson, future president, who is constantly described as having fought dozens, even 100 duels. The real number by his own historians? 2, maybe 2.5. One of them, both men just fired into the air and went home. Notice what's happening here. The legend always inflates towards more violence, more death, more drama. We want the duel to be a bloodbath, because a bloodbath is a better story. That instinct to round reputation stories up toward the most dramatic version is the exact same instinct that makes a mild disagreement online become "they're literally attacking me." We don't just defend our reputations, we inflate the threats to them. Keep that in your pocket. But Jackson's real duel, the one that was real, tells us what was actually at stake, and it wasn't about a horse. Charles Dickinson was, by reputation, one of the finest shots in Tennessee. In 1806, he and Andrew Jackson fell into a quarrel that started over a horse raising debt and ended with Dickinson publishing in a newspaper that Jackson was a worthless scoundrel, a poltroon, and a coward. Stop on that word, coward. Printed, public, permanent. Because that was the actual weapon, not the pistol, the word, made public. If a gentleman was challenged and he refused to fight, his enemy could do exactly this: post him, put it in writing, nail it up, print it in the paper. This man is a coward. And in an honor culture, that was a kind of death, social death. Doors closed, business partners vanished, he became unmarriageable, unhireable, unrespectable. A man so marked might never recover. So sit with the actual decisions these men face. It was never simply fight or walk away. It was risk dying once on the field or die slowly every single day as the man everyone knows back down. And when you frame it that way, the duel stops looking insane. A 6% chance of death starts to look like the rational option, compared to a lifetime of being a coward. That's the part the movies never explained. They weren't brave, they were trapped by what other people would think. And now I have to ask you the question this whole video has been walking toward. Have you ever done something you didn't even want to do? Sent the angry reply, stood your ground in an argument you knew was stupid, refused to apologize when apologizing would have ended it, not because you believed in it, but because backing down in front of people felt worse than being wrong. That's it. That's the same machine. You have felt the same exact pressure that put Hamilton on that ledge. The penalty for looking weak. The stakes are lower now, usually, but the wiring is identical. We are still a little bit afraid of being posted as the coward. Now, because we've earned it, let me tell you two of the greatest duel stories ever told, and then tell you why you probably shouldn't believe either of them. Paris, 1808. Two men supposedly fall out over a dancer. Rather than meet on the ground like normal people, they each climb into a hot air balloon, ascend over the city, and fire blunderbusses, not at each other, but at each other's balloons. One balloon is hit, collapses, and the man falls to his death. It's a magnificent story. It's almost certainly nonsense. It traces back to a single newspaper account no one in France seems to have recorded it, and names look invented. The physics are doubtful. A beautiful lie. Or 1892, two noblewomen supposedly duel with swords over a flower arrangement and fight without their shirts on a doctor's advice, so that no dirty fabric could be driven into a wound and cause infection. The so-called emancipated duel. Also, almost certainly invented. One of the women named in it publicly called it a ridiculous fabrication by the newspaper, which, fair. But notice why these stories survived, true or not. They're the most dramatic, most shareable, most absurd versions of people fighting over reputation. They went viral in 1808 and 1892, for exactly the reason a fake outrage goes viral now. The honor instinct doesn't just make us fight, it makes us love watching other people fight, and it makes the wildest version of the story travel fastest. The medium changed, the appetite didn't. So why did dueling end? Not because we stopped caring about reputation. That's the whole point. Dueling ended because the mechanism became obsolete. Courts got stronger and actually protected people. Laws started barring duelists from public office, and, maybe the most powerful of all, the joke flipped. For a long time, the man who refused to duel was the fool. Then slowly, the man who dueled became the fool. Ridicule did what the law couldn't. Honor died the day it became embarrassing. There may be a lesson in that. But here's what the historians who study this will tell you, and it's the thing I want to leave you with. Honor cultures don't disappear. They transform. Instinct, defend your reputation, never let disrespect stand, fear looking weak above almost everything. That instinct is too deep to delete. So when one arena closes, it finds another. The field of honor became the comment section. The posting of a coward in the newspaper became the screenshot, the subtweet, the public call out. The seconds who tried to talk you down became the friend typing, "Don't engage," and the satisfaction a man once sought at 10 paces, he now seeks in the perfect reply that puts someone in their place in front of an audience of thousands. We didn't outgrow the duel, we just disarmed it. We took away the pistols and left the wound exactly where it always was, in the unbearable feeling of being disrespected in front of people who matter. So 3 things before you go. The next time someone disrespects you and you feel that heat rise, recognize it for what it is. It's not principle, it's 400-year-old security system firing in a world that doesn't need it anymore. You're allowed to not answer the challenge. The man who walked away wasn't always the coward. Sometimes he was just the first one to realize the audience he was performing for wasn't worth dying in front of. Real or fake, most of these duelists walked away and lived. And when you feel the pull to fire back, to win the exchange, to get your satisfaction in front of the crowd, ask the only question that ever actually mattered on that field. Who am I really doing this for? The duelists thought they were defending their honor. Mostly, they were performing it for an audience that forgot them the moment the smoke cleared. We have a much bigger audience now. They'll forget us too.